Hello, I'm Jason and welcome to my comic book reviews. This week I've got 10 books to review, 5 from Marvel, 4 from DC and 1 from Image. So without further ado, let's get into those reviews. So first up for review this week, we have a book from last week from Marvel Comics. It is Winter Soldier, The Bitter March, issue number 2. And the basic story here from issue 1 is that these two former Nazi scientists, Peter and Miller, are going to sell this formula called the let me get this right, the alchemy formula to Hydra, and they can make basically any kind of metal with this formula. And so SHIELD want to stop Hydra getting this, so they send in 2 agents, Nick Fury and Ran Shen, to get these scientists and bring them to SHIELD. The plan goes well until the Winter Soldier turns up, who looks to claim them for the Soviet Union. But Nick Fury seemingly gets shot, and it's the original Nick Fury, not the new Nick Fury. It's the original Fury. He gets shot, so we don't know what's happened to him. Ran Shen carries on with the 2 Nazi scientists with the Winter Soldier on their tail. This issue we kind of continue the story with Ran Shen and the scientists still on the run as they're trying to get out of this country, because this country is very Hydra friendly, so they need to get out of this country before they can really get any help. And Winter Soldier is still stalking them still, as well as Hydra trying to get these 2 scientists back as well, and it all ends up with them on board this train trying to get it to Berlin. But you've got everybody kind of trying to get the scientists, and there's some really nice twists and turns in there as well. I really enjoyed this book. I think if you're a fan of the Winter Soldier, you'll enjoy it. If you're a fan of the comic Captain America, you'll enjoy it, because the character Ran Shen, he's the comic villain, the Iron Nail, and this shows him when he was a SHIELD agent. So from that perspective, it's really interesting as well, because this book, Remender writes this book as well as writing Captain America, so I liked that tie in there. Or even if you're just loving books like Black Widow or Velvet, because this has that kind of spy espionage kind of feel. And I just really enjoyed it. It was a really good read, exciting. There's some really great pages. There's some great dialogue between Ran Shen and Miller as they're kind of discussing like communism and capitalism and how these systems work and don't. And you can see the beginnings of the Iron Nail, the man who will become the Iron Nail. You can see the beginning of the ideologies he's got now. We get little teasers of things we've seen in Captain America with some bubbles, which people who are reading Captain America will know what the bubbles are about. But yeah, this issue just was really, really good, and the cliffhanger at the end was fantastic. Really hooked me for next month. And yeah, if you're a fan of Winter Soldier, I'd definitely give this one a whirl, and I would give Winter Soldier a Bitter March 5 stars out of 5. So next up is the first of this week's books to be reviewed. It is Justice League Dark, issue number 29, which features the conclusion for the Forever Evil Blight story. And I said in my whole video, was this going to like kind of peter out and kind of fizzle away, or were we going to get a big bang to finish this story that's had a lot of peaks and valleys in it? And sadly it's the former. This book just fizzles out. It is a very disappointing issue. I think in the time I've been reading this book, I jumped on, I think it was around issue 9, was it, when Jeff Lemire took over writing, and that's when I first picked this book up. And I've never been as disappointed with an issue as I was with this issue. It was just utter tripe. For a start, we have John Constantine, who they've established in the New 52 can be a bit of a selfish jerk. But ultimately, he'll always do the things for the right reason, you know. It's like that old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's kind of John Constantine, in that he'll have good intentions, but he'll go the shady way round of it, of achieving those, and he'll be a bit callous in the way he does things. And that's kind of been established, that Constantine will do those things, and he'll wear that, you know, the pain of having to deal with what he does, because he knows ultimately it's serving the greater good. Yet his actions here go totally against the way they've established his character. Plus also the way that that he wants to save Zatanna, and then his actions here do not tally up at all and make absolutely no sense. So yeah, I was really disappointed with that. It doesn't tie back into Forever Evil in any way whatsoever, which was also very disappointing. Once they win their battle at the end, it's kind of like they just go off and do their own things. They don't go and say, oh yeah, we really must help everybody else out now because the Earth's in a pretty bad state. So yeah, it was just a lot of mumbo jumbo. But I don't want to kind of criticize the writer, because I don't know how much of it is the writer and how much of it might be DC saying, well, we want this character going this direction now, and they have to kind of fit it in. The art I thought was okay. It isn't Mikhail Yanin standard, but they do keep it in that same kind of style, and there are some quite really nice pages. There are a couple of good ideas in here. The whole thing with there being two John Constantines, that was really interesting, but that didn't tally up again with his actions later on. You know, if you know, well, yeah, it doesn't tally up later on. I really like Satana's journey in this, even though again John Constantine's actions make no sense. I did at least like her journey, and kind of it looks like now she's going to be the leader of the Justice League Dark. Sadly, you know, this is my last issue, and I really hoped that it was going to be really good and make me rethink why am I dropping this, and sadly it didn't. It just made me glad I'm not picking this up anymore. And it's really sad that DC have took one of the best team books, not just from DC but from any company, and have just totally ruined it. They've hiked it up $1, they've put it in crossover hell, and now the book has just gone to hell, and I'm really sad to see what this book's become. And I give issue number 29 of Justice League Dark 2 stars. So next up, we're sticking with DC, as next is The Flash, issue number 29. It concludes this 3-part story by Brian Buccellato before the new creative team come in. Really sad, this will be Brian Buccellato's last issue of the series. I've enjoyed his writing. It's really interesting when you have a creative team and then one of that team leaves and the one stays, and you kind of get to see that one's voice, and you kind of wonder then, you know, how it's all spread out. But I really enjoyed this issue. It ties everything up nicely. We get to see again Barry Allen as the detective, and what I love about how Buccellato has written this, and together with Manapul earlier on, is that so often they show Barry doing stuff, and they show that it's not the powers that make a hero, it's the man who makes a hero. And I really like that about this book and how they show that. It rounds out the story beautifully, ties everything up, explains everything, which I really liked. There's some nice twists and turns along the way, and they give you some, you know, kind of false roads to go down, and but at the end you feel that everything has been tied together. There is a kind of a little tease at the end, which I don't know if that's ever going to be picked up, because we've got the new creative team. They're going to want to do their own things next month, so yeah, I don't know if that's ever going to be picked up, or if that's something that they agreed with them beforehand. I don't know. It's sad if it isn't going to be picked up, but yeah, all in all, I enjoyed the book. The art was good. I wouldn't say it was exceptional, but the art done its job and told a good story. And all in all, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a very satisfying end to the story, and I would give The Flash issue number 29 4 stars. So for our next review, we jump over to Marvel Comics with Avengers issue number 27. This continues the current story arc with the evil Avengers from another universe, and the Adaptoids kind of getting ready in the background to do whatever they're going to do. The one major weak point with the book is it doesn't really feel we've advanced any at the end of the issue. It feels we're pretty much where we were at the end of the last issue. I like how AIM have kind of been portrayed. You know, there used to be this joke, but I like over the last few years how they've really turned things around for AIM and made them really serious bad guys and villains, and I think that's really great, because like they're basically scientists with no ethics, and I think that makes great villains, and I really like what they've been doing with AIM. And AIM are certainly causing a lot of problems in the Marvel universe. We then have our battle between the two Avengers. It's interesting seeing the differences with these evil Avengers and how their world, how kind of then characters related to other characters and stuff. So I really like that. I like that much like I'm liked in Forever Evil, seeing the origins of those characters. My favourite scene was definitely the scene with the two Bruce Banners. I thought that was brilliant. It does feel kind of like they've ripped off DC because with the timing, and I don't know how much they'd planned this out before, because if I understand right, I think Jonathan Hickman's a guy who really plans out his stuff long term, so he may have already planned this out. But even so, it just the timing of it all, it feels like we're getting this a lot with these evil Earths and these evil characters coming through. It just seems we're getting a glut of that at the moment with the two big comics from the two big companies doing that a lot. I really like the art here. Salvatore LaRocca does a really great job with the art. I'm interested to see where we go next issue, but this issue there was just really no progression. It's an easy missable issue because you don't really move up forward. The only really things to get this issue for is you get the hints of the different origins of the characters and what this other Earth was like. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what's happening next, and hopefully next month's issue will be a lot better. And I give Avengers issue number 27 3 stars. So next up, back to DC with Red Lanterns issue number 29. This continues the Red Daughter of Krypton story arc, and I really enjoyed this issue. One of the things that I loved was the art by Alessandro Vitti, because the way he drew Superman in this, it was like, I think it's the way the bottom half of his face was drawn. It just like really looked like Superman. Like in the New 52, they kind of de-aged him, and he doesn't look quite right to me. The way I've got grown up and used to how Superman should look. But I think in this, he makes Superman look young, but at the same time, the way he draws his face really makes him look like Superman. And there's a really telling page where you've got an image of Superman, but then on the next page, you've got an advert for the Superman drawn by John Romita Jr. And it's really telling, like, how Romita Jr.'s Superman looks nothing like Superman. Yet Alessandro Vitti's Superman looks spot on. And you know, I think over the last year the DC writers have really kind of got into sync with how to write Superman, but I think now we need to get into sync with how he should look, and I hope more people copy how Vitti did him in here. The story itself is also really excellent. Supergirl as a Red Lantern makes total sense because of all she's been through. So, and she's got a lot of rage to get loose. So I really like this story, and I'm glad that we're continuing with it, because I think we could go some interesting places with this. I really like the thing as well with Guy going to Superman, because he knows if Superman finds out, all hell's going to break loose. So I liked how Guy dealt with that. Also in the background, we've got Atrocitus coming back, and that kind of leads into the cliffhanger at the end, which really hooked me for the next issue. I'm just loving how Charles Soule's writing this book, and he's really made me care about every character on the Red Lanterns team. So I think he's done a great job turning this book around, and I give Red Lanterns issue number 29 5 stars out of 5. So next up we go back to Marvel with Silver Surfer issue number 1. This was a book I went back and picked up. I initially was going to pick it up, then I tried being good, and then I just decided to pick it up. I gave in to temptation. It's true. I'm not good at resisting temptation when it comes to comics. Anywho, getting into the book itself, I enjoyed it. Silver Surfer's always been one of those characters that I've kind of wanted to know more and get into. He's always looked an interesting character, but I've just never kind of coincided with me getting comics and then a Silver Surfer run kind of going. So, you know, this was a fantastic place to jump on. I've really enjoyed Jan Slott's writing on Spider-Man, so that sold me. I loved Mike Aldridge's art on FF, and Laura Aldridge is doing the colours on this as she did with FF, and I loved her colours. I think they make a really great team. So, you know, there was a lot of reasons for me to pick the book up. The basic story is really good, where Silver Surfer is kind of atoned for his past as a Herald of Galactus by going through the universe and helping people out. And he agrees there's this world that's hidden from the Heralds of Galactus, because they're scared that, like, if Galactus knew this was there, that he would come to devour it. So they get Silver Surfer to be their champion and to help them defend it. And then he gets hooked up to this thing called a motivator, and we get our big kind of cliffhanger, which on the surface doesn't make any sense, but I'm sure next issue will make a lot of sense. I enjoyed it. I thought this was a very good setup for the series, and it did enough to hook my interest and make me want to come back again. I could nitpick and say, it would have been nice if they'd explained what being a Herald of Galactus meant, but I think they give enough clues that I think you can piece together what it is. But it still would have been nice if it was a bit more explicit, but then maybe in future issues it's going to get explained, so I'm not going to get too on them for that until we see where we go with future issues. The art is fantastic in this, gives it a nice fun feel, and I like I say, I had a good time with this. It didn't blow me away, but it gave me enough goodness to make me want to come back again, and I give Silver Surfer issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. So next up we return over to DC with Aquaman issue number 29, and I really enjoyed this. I'm glad I decided to jump back on board and pick this book up. Jeff Parker does a brilliant job with writing it, with making it very new reader friendly. He really brings you up to speed quickly without things feeling like info dumps. The story is really nice and easy to catch up on. This issue is basically like Aquaman laying the smackdown for majority of the issue, but at the same time throughout the fight we're getting information on who these people are that he's fighting, and what's happened, and there's a really cool reveal at the end that I'm really looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. We have Mira, who's having to go to this meeting in place of Aquaman, and I really like Mira. She's a really strong character, and I think a positive female character. And yeah, a lot of people might look at her and say, oh yeah, look at her in the sexy outfit, and that's part of the course with women in comics. But I think as a character, I think she's really positive. She's a strong female character who doesn't take no messing, but doesn't let the fact that she's a badass kind of erode her femininity. And I really like that, because sometimes I've said before, writers can be a bit lazy, and if they want a woman to be a badass, they'll lose their femininity and they'll be a bit more, aggressive. And Mira's not like that. She feels like a well-rounded character, and yeah, I really enjoy her character and her relationship with Aquaman. All in all, this was a really fun book. Definitely will be back next issue. Like I say, the cliffhanger at the end really hooked you, and I would give Aquaman issue number 29 4 stars out of 5. So next up in my reviews is the only Image book of the week, as we have Alex and Ada issue number 5, and this was the first issue I bought that I've got as it's come out since I jumped on board this book, and I'm really glad I jumped on board because this book is brilliant. I really enjoyed this. Essentially this is just one scene for the whole issue. You have 4 characters. One character you see briefly, one character's been there for a little bit, and 2 characters are in the whole book. And yet you do, at no point do you feel you've been shortchanged. So much happens in this book. Certainly Avengers could take a leaf out of this, in how they just have one scene yet totally move the plot forward and the story forward, and it's it's a really strong issue. I'm loving the art is just gorgeous to look at. I'm loving this future world where they've got technology we can kind of recognize, but we can see it's the next generation of what we've got now. I really like the building relationship between Alex and Ada and the friendship at the moment as it is, and I like that. I think in somebody else's hands this could have been a very sleazy book, a robot that looks human and does whatever you say. It could have got a bit sleazy, but I think the way that they've handled this book so far is really cool, and it's totally not a sleazy book. There's some really interesting ideas about what makes a person. Is it their free will? Is it their personality? What makes somebody a person? And I really like that kind of subtext that's going on there. And yeah, it's just brilliant. And to think at the moment we don't know everything about Alex. Ada is still kind of forming. She's still adapting to the world. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this series has got next. And this would be my recommendation of the week. If you've not been reading this book, I'm sure they'll be bringing out a trade of the first volume soon, and I would recommend picking that up because this is just a brilliant book. And I give Alex and Ada issue number 5 5 stars out of 5. So, penultimate review this week, we go back over to Marvel Comics, and it's another Rick Remender book, as we have Uncanny Avengers, issue number 18. This kicks off the new story arc, Avenge the Earth, which carries on from the previous one. Basically, the Earth was destroyed, and the mutants are now living on Planet X. We have Wasp, who's the last human being, who together with Beast and Havoc are trying to take down the Tachyon Dam so that they can travel back in time and stop Earth from being destroyed. It's really good. I really like this reimagined world and how everything is on this world. Basically the whole issue is just one big chase scene as X-Force are kind of trying to catch and stop Havoc and Wasp from achieving their objective. So but yeah, even though it's just like kind of one scene, I really enjoyed it, and Rick Remender writes it in such a great way that he gives out all this really great information and really brings you up to date with the story. Because I did, going into this, I thought this is a horrible place to be a jumping on point, but actually it works really well, and that's mainly due to Remender's writing. It was so great to see Daniel Acuna on art. I can't remember that guy's name who's done the last few issues. He did a really good job, but I just really love Daniel Acuna on this book, and I love seeing his art, and he does like the colours as well. And yeah, the book looks brilliant. It tells a great story, and this book's just got really good, and it's one of the most unpredictable books Marvel are currently putting out, because who would have thought they would have killed all the humans and blown up the Earth? You know, who would have saw that coming? Yet you get the impression time travel is going to play a factor here, especially with the way the book ends. They can't go back, but there is a twist with the whole we're going to go back in time deal. There was a nice little twist with that at the end, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this book's going to go next. And I give Uncanny Avengers issue number 18 5 stars out of 5. So my final review this week is the Superior Spider-Man issue number 30. This was fantastic. I absolutely love this. I love the journey we've had of Dr. Octopus as a Superior Spider-Man, and there's a great moment of dialogue with him and Ghost Peter that I just absolutely love the dialogue that they have in this issue, and leads to a really great moment. And the end, I super geeked out for the end of this book, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good issue, and I'm really super excited for the next issue and to see how everything's going to be put right. I loved some of Peter's reactions as Ghost Peter, as he's seeing things like Parker Industries, like what's going on here. So I really enjoyed that. I'm really super excited, like I say, to see what happens next. So pleased Giuseppe Camuncoli is on art for this arc. As I've said before, I really like his art, and this book just looks brilliant. The story really feels like it's all coming together nicely. I did feel that they made Captain America and Iron Man look like, they really acted like a pair of dicks in this issue. You know, you've got Cardiac, who's helping all these people with this hospital using technology for people that can't afford, healthcare, and Iron Man's like, oh yeah, you've been helping these people using technology illegally, we're gonna have to arrest you. As the city's burning down around them, people are in anarchy because the goblins have taken over and are destroying stuff. But no, they'd rather arrest somebody. And then Captain America's like, yeah, and we need to arrest Spider-Man because he knew this was happening. And I thought, God, what a pair of dicks. Look at the things they've done over the years. You're telling me you haven't got some stuff that you'd kind of you've done bad things for the right reasons. And Cardiac hasn't even done a bad thing because he's helped all these people. So yeah, I didn't like how they were written there. But other than that, yeah, that's only a minor nitpick, and that ain't even a nitpick with the story. That's just with how they was. But I didn't like how they explained why the Avengers ain't clearing everything up. I thought that was good. I just think the story's been ever so good. Super excited to see how it's going to end, as I've already said about 3 times. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this. If I was doing a pick of the week, this would have been my pick of the week. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I would give Superior Spider-Man, it would be no surprise, but yeah, I would give it 5 stars out of 5. So that brings us to the end of my reviews for another week. Sorry this one's a bit long, but sometimes it's unavoidable when you want to get to say everything you want to say about the books, and you've got this many books to review. It's sometimes unavoidable for it to be a bit long. I will be back, as in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back on Tuesday. I haven't decided what video I'm going to do on Tuesday yet. I'll either do a Marvel Ultimate Graphic Novels review, or I will do a review of Captain America Winter Soldier, which I saw today. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet. We'll see. Then I will be back on Wednesday with my Comic Haul video, and then back some point over next weekend with another comic book reviews video. So yeah, that leaves me to say thank you very much for watching my video. I appreciate it, and thank you to everybody who's been giving me thumbs ups and been leaving comments on my videos. I will endeavour to reply to those comments as quick as I can. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's me done. So I'm gonna say again, thanks for watching. I've been Jason. This has been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.